story out of Kenya. They arrested some Belgian kids for stealing ants. Finally, something sneaking into Mexico. This parasite might take a look at Mexico and go, you know what, I could do better. Who gave money so that they could watch the ants? Freddie Rubino here with your live podcast from the America First Warehouse, the most patriotic venue in the land. With my podcast, that's what I'm talking about. It is the stories of the week that you might not have seen covered in the news. We might get to one or two that were covered. I have two fantastic guests today. We have Phil Kuza. Phil, how are you?
I'm great.
Okay. No, talk it to the mic. That's how it works. It's like a device that.
No mic drops though.
And the great comic from Long Island, Kevin Downey Jr.
What's up, buddy? Thanks for having me back. Always a pleasure.
I love having a comic on the air, but we always start my show with the disgraziata of the week. If you're not Italian, that means the disgrace of the week. And it goes to, of course, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. He is the biggest disgrace this week that it's obvious. He jumps out at you. He is letting people riot in the streets of L.A. and anywhere in California that they want to resist the federal government. It's actually an insurrection, and this oily-haired fuckface of a man, I hate this guy. When you see them on the streets throwing bricks at people's children, police officers who are people's children, fathers, uncles, aunts, it enrages me. Okay, I hate him. I hate his face. I hate his oily hair. By the way, slicking your hair back. You're pretending to be Italian. You know, if you do blackface, that's no good, right? You get canceled. So slicking your hair back, that's olive face. He's trying to be Italian. He should not be able to. Gavin Newsom is a piece of garbage. Gavin Newsom is to politics what I forgot what I was going to say there. But I hate Gavin Newsom. I think he is the biggest disgrace. I hope this doesn't go across borders and enter New York, because we have enough problems in New York that we don't need scumbags like Gavin Newsom and his agenda to fuel this kind of riots, and people are getting hurt. Let's open this up. Kevin, we all know that once there's riots and the police force cannot contain it, that what's going on in the surrounding areas? There's no police. So what do you think is going on in these neighborhoods now?
I think Gavin Newsom wants all the riots he can get his hands on. That's why he said, we're going to sue Trump. No National Guard here. They want the chaos. They want the riots. It's all part of the neo-communist plan. This is nothing but Marxism. If anyone were to read a book on, how to throw a good Marxist party, this is how you do it. You invite it, and you let it spread, and you attack anyone who tries to stop your riots.
How amazing is it that Donald Trump has come to deliver the people from Los Angeles, because people are calling in all the time and saying, hey, my house is getting robbed. Hey, someone's getting raped down the block. Sorry, there's no police officers. Phil Kuza, are you an ex-police officer?
Yes, ex-police officer. Ex-police officer. Into the microphone.
So, were you on duty during any big, rioting or blackout at times?
Well, Occupy Wall Street.
Okay.
I was on during 9/11, so we had a couple of little things go on here and there.
So when things like that are happening and people call the police, if all the police are sent to one area, like of an uprising or that thing in the park that time, there's no police to respond.
Exactly. It's like not having water in the fire hydrants when there's a huge mass fire somewhere, like in California.
Right. So what's happening in LA essentially is, and there are no things that are coming out in the news, nothing reporting on how rapes have gone up. I know in New York during what was that again? The Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street?
Occupy Wall Street was the one that was in New York down by Battery Park.
I remember
for a while.
when that happened, there was a big uprising. Like they would act out every so often.
Right.
And a lot of police was sent.
A lot of police, sure.
So that there were places in Spanish Harlem and in West Side of Manhattan that would call the police and no one would respond.
Right. And it only got worse after defund the police because at that point, New York City had a police force of, I would say, about 32,000 police officers. So we do have the resources in New York, but there's other places where they don't have those type of resources. Then they try to defund the police. People are like, well, if they're in law enforcement, they're like, time for me to retire. It just gets worse. And the level of incompetence is like you see it after retirements and everything, and all of a sudden the people start reaping the repercussions of what was done, and they start being victimized by criminals, and that's the natural flow. And then they start realizing, hey, wait a second, we need the police, you know?
Yeah, you need the police. Kevin, what do you think about when the police are, it's done on purpose, when police are called in force to one area, you know the outlining areas are in trouble, right? So don't you feel like sometimes when that happens, you're a little sketchy about going out and shit like that?
You know, a friend of mine who's a police officer, he taught me this neat little trick the bad guys do. There's something called shot spotter. Is that right, Phil? Where someone shoots a gun, they can triangulate.
Right, there is something like that, yeah.
So they know within a couple yards where you are. So he's working in Troy, New York. So, folks, for those of you who don't know, if New York State needed an enema, and it does, they'd put the hose in Albany. And right next to that is this festering sore of a town called Troy. And he said the bad guys would go into one end of town, fire a gun a couple times in the air. Now all the cops go, uh-oh. And as they're going over here, they're pulling some shenanigans over there.
Sure.
So I think the cops have caught onto it. But you're right. When something like that happens, I go on high alert because I know all the cops are busy. Where I live here in Long Island, I saw 6 cop cars at a house in my neighborhood. And I thought, that means there could be something going on across town. And now it's time to, maybe keep your head on a swivel a little more, because just in case it is, a couple of gangbangers, a couple of thugs think they're smart, keep an eye out. And you know what?
That's an old trick, right? If you're going to rob a bank, you go across town and you do something crazy. You start a fire, or you say shots fired, and police respond. When they would say shots fired, the whole precinct would empty out.
Oh,
correct?
sure. If it was something, an emergency, the cops knew the codes, and they knew when something was serious or when it was desperately serious.
So these
and
neighborhoods,
everybody's going.
Now these neighborhoods in L.A. and around L.A. are so in trouble because they know that any gangs, L.A. is just rough with gangs. So they know, these gangs know right now that the longer, maybe the gangs send like 10 people to it, start burning stuff, start getting more police presence, and then the rest of L.A. is theirs. Gavin Newsom has done nothing. This woman, Karen Bass, how did she get this job?
Skifoos of the week.
Maybe we should add the Shivats of the week. Because I got to say, if it could be any more inept at doing your job, you can't. Karen Bass has set the bar so high that there's no way you could do this, because she's the worst. She can't govern.
But I think we're looking at it from the wrong point of view, Fred. I think if you're a Marxist, she's the best because she's allowing it. She allowed L.A. to burn, all right?
Yes.
And she is allowing this. Just, Trump, stay away from our rioters. And they've all gotten the same talking points. Everything was fine till Trump showed up. No, they were burning it. So from their point of view, this is what they want. They want the crime. They want the chaos because that's how communism comes to take root. When people are scared culturally, oh, it's so dangerous, what have you, and when they're struggling to put food on the table, they're not paying attention to anything else. They just want to eat and they just want to be safe. That's where the communists come in and say, well, we can help you with that. Right now, so the communists, they let people out of jail in 2019, and then they had, was it cashless bail in 2020, Phil?
Yeah, that's Cuomo. Cashless bail.
And then they
Let
said,
him out.
Yep. And then they said, well, now we're going to defund the police. So they're setting the stage for what would become a massive crime wave, which started in 2020.
And you left out one. Defund the police, cashless bail, let them all out. And then on top of all of that, they wanted to hire illegal immigrants as police officers.
Yeah. Right.
It's like saying, Freddie, I want you to investigate your family.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to do that. So this is the horrors of government. Someone like Cuomo, someone like Gavin Newsom, who was supposed to be impeached maybe a year ago, it didn't go through. We have to learn from these mistakes. We cannot have Cuomo in. Gavin Newsom's got to go. I'll be right back with my podcast. That's what I'm talking about. Who broke the television?
Gotta get to New Jersey quick!
Can we laugh at that? Sounds a little mean.
As of this week, public gay sex will now be mandatory.
Parties. Am I the only one that could see his lips move? Cheekbones, baby!
Sorry, maybe I overreacted.
Are you a musician, comedian, actor, filmmaker, or artist who stands for traditional American values? Do you believe in the preservation of our nation, our culture, and our freedoms? If you share our passion for America and want to use your talents to make a difference, we want to hear from you. Our mission is clear. Through the arts, we uphold the principles of freedom, faith, family, and the American spirit. It's time to step up to the mic and make your voices heard. So contact us at AmericanConservativeArtists.com.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler, Donald Trump's language, mirrors this directly.
Well, Hitler was duly elected.
Let's deal with Hitler, okay?
I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that is Mussolini Hitler-like language.
You say Nazi enough times, someone's going to actually have the guts to do it.
Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler.
What percentage of this event happening was due to Donald Trump's rhetoric?
Don't miss Trump next time.
What do you make of the excess deaths?
None of us, not the president, not those hypothetical guys in the smoky rooms fully know what's going on, but we can speak about the unfolding of recent history with certainty.
Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy.
That is not how it works. That is a threat to democracy.
No. No.
You anti-Semitic piece of...
When you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit.
Free fries when you get vaccinated? Vaccination.
Freddie Rubino here, back with That's What I'm Talking About. We got some stories here we're going to cover if we get to all of them. This story is Donald Trump. Maybe you've heard of him. He is asking the Supreme Court to dismantle the Department of Education and fire hundreds of its workers. The Department of Education has become one of the arms of the left-wing movement in this country. They indoctrinate children. They want to take rights away from families, from parents. They are grooming kids sexually, trying to sexualize children. But forget all of that. They have a job to educate. And more than half the students in the inner cities of every inner city in this country cannot read on a level 2 levels below their grade. 8th graders cannot read at a 6th grade level across the country in all the major inner cities. How do they still have a job? It's like you hiring an electrician. Say, I need my house wired. You come back in a month, he's got candles all over the house. Hey, I did what I could. You can't fire me. How could the Department of Education still exist when they have a failure rate at this level? I think what they should do, this is my theory, go into the inner cities and say, at a 6th grade, can you spell the Department of Education? If they can't, they're gone from that state. If they can, okay. So I think they should go in and test the kids randomly, and that's it. That's when you figure out whether they stay or go. No vote, just purely like an SAT test. How do you think we should test the Department of Education, my friend?
I think the Department of Education is doing what they were sent there to do, which is to dumb down America. And how do you do that? You start with the kids. Stupid people are easy to control. I don't think it's an accident. I don't think it's an accident that all of these big blue toilet towns have crap schools. And I had some liberals tell me, well, it's a systemic racism. Oh, really? You know who's been running Detroit since 1962? Democrats. Philadelphia since 1967. Milwaukee hasn't had a Republican mayor since 1908. Chicago's coming up on 100 years of Democrat mayors.
Oh, my God.
This
is worse than I thought.
Yeah, it's not
Go
systemic.
on.
It's not systemic racism, folks. When it's this bad, it's on purpose. This is not an accident. Why is it on purpose? Number one, the teachers want to rob all the money they can, overpay those teachers, and give them what they want. The far left has taken over the Board of Education. It's not an accident. They want us stupid. That's why you see in inner cities, in Detroit, there's a big fight. Well, we want to send our kids to the schools we want them to go to. Nope, that's racist. They're going to go to that school and continue to be. It's not the kids' fault.
No, it's not the kids' fault. They're there to learn.
They're there to learn, and the teachers are not there to teach them.
And I read somewhere, because I have a GED. I don't like to brag. I don't like to throw that in your faces. But I read that sometimes when they allocate money to the Department of Education, like they'll put in a budget of like $300 million, that not $1 goes to, let's say it's for notepads or for new blackboards. None of the money gets to doing the actual thing. It all gets eaten up by the bureaucracy. Mm-hmm. Being an ex-cop, that reminds me when they started giving money for bulletproof vests. And only like 4 got into like a force of like 20,000. And it's just eaten up by the bureaucracy.
Sure, like the Department of Education, I've spoken to a lot of teachers. They've said, we had great desks and equipment and everything, and the budget comes in, and if they don't spend that money, those they won't get the funding for next year. But what they'll do is they'll come and they'll throw out the really high quality furniture and things like that, just so they can spend the money, and that's all coming out of your pocket. So when you see these overinflated budgets, and then you see children or young people who can't even read, or there's definitely a thing there. But they have people indoctrinated with the term Board of Education. You
Right.
have to have the Board of Education.
Right.
What you really need to do is have education, and those people who are in charge should be held liable. You know, if these kids don't reach a certain level, then you know what? We somehow penalize you financially because your gross incompetence has caused these children to fall into this category where they might not be able to find a job in the future.
And listen, if you can't read, you can't do any of the other subjects.
Sure.
I mean, how can you do any subject if you can't read? So, and if you notice, I don't know if you notice this, they never like when they interview kids, it's always the boys. Because I think boys are stupider than girls. Right? Even when you're dating a girl from like public school, she's still smart. I think there's something genetic there. And, you know, personally, sometimes I wish that my wife couldn't read. Because she's online all day ordering stuff. She's ordering. She could obviously read too much. I think we should start dumbing down the girls. Because my wife... If my wife couldn't read, she could order from Amazon in like hieroglyphics. She could order like Egyptian furniture and stuff like that. She could order in clicks like a dolphin. So I think for some reason girls are coming out smarter than boys out of these public schools. But let's face it, the Department of Education is a total failure. It's a total money laundering system. It is totally against the values of America, and it totally goes against our rights as parents to raise our own kids. They're grooming kids to cut their penises off. You said penal before, so I'm going to say penis now. You got anything to say about penises, Kevin, and the Department of Education?
Probably full of them.
Well, I have an idea. Maybe what we should do is, you think that the girls should be slowed down, right?
Right.
Not learn so fast, and the boys should be given a chance to catch up. So what we should do is let the Board of Education teach the girls,
right?
And then we can get other people to teach the boys, people that actually know how to teach.
And I can tell you right now, in all of these classes, the boys are the biggest problems. They're the ones fighting a lot of the times, the majority of the time. They're the ones disrupting. This goes back to the old days when there were girls' schools. So, you know, guys who were just out to get laid and to, I don't mean to look at you when I say that, you know. They're just looking to disrupt and get laid. They're not looking to learn. There should be girls' schools. And when I went to a boys' school, which I did, the teachers didn't fool around. They didn't have to worry about a girl in the class. They just cracked you. I think, do you think there should be girls and boys' schools back again?
You know, I went to a Catholic school, but it was boys and girls in the same class.
Okay.
But I know people who went to Catholic school where this was the boys' school and this is the girls' school.
Yes. High school was like that for me.
And you know what they all said? They all said, number one, I hated it. But number two, there were no distractions.
Right.
Especially like you're 16 years old and you're like, girl, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Right?
Yeah, and if you keep your grade point average above a certain level, then you get to have recess with the girls.
Yes, there you go.
Well, they used to have dances, and we used to have the dance with the girls' school. They would invite the girls' school, you know, and then, like, if the girls were ugly, we'd say, could you do another school next time? You know, so it was always, that was a treat. But there were nuns all around, you know, it was, did you ever try dancing with a nun? It wasn't good. It wasn't good. I mean, they didn't put up with much. So I think the Department of Education should be disbanded. I think that it should be investigated. There's a lot of money being stolen out of it, and they just don't do their job. And it's a union. Is that correct? I'm pro-union, but this is one union I say get rid of.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I'm from Detroit, from a union family. And here's the sick part. Like, my grandfather physically fought Ford's goons to establish a union. And then one of his sons, one of my uncles, he got to a point where the union was so strong, he could punch in, work for 90 minutes, sneak out to the bar, drink for 4 hours, 5 hours, have someone else punch him in and out for lunch, sneak back in, work for the last 90 minutes. And when he got caught, this union was so strong they couldn't fire him.
Are they hiring?
Are they high?
And you see, that's when, I'm pro-union because I grew up like you in a union family. I grew up as a union electrician for years. I worked, and so I am pro-union because unions are responsible for a lot of great things that became American.
Absolutely.
And I think that some unions are too weak and some unions are too strong. I got to say, the policemen's union, sometimes they do not take the back of policemen that are just trying to do their job, even if the policeman screwed up. So, in 1 minute, what do you got to say about the policemen's union?
Well, overall, my experience was generally positive, but then I didn't get into a whole lot of trouble or anything like that. But it is true that often they won't take the back of the police officers because there's politics that seeps in. And at the end of the day, everything is like downstream from the politics.
I would last 20 seconds as a cop. I would go on the subway. They would go up to me and go, "Hey, what are you doing?" Boom! I would shoot someone. That would be it. I'd be gone.
Can I ask you? I have been told that Eric Adams was a cop, but he was always looking down the road to politics, and he wasn't the cop's cop. Is that true?
Right. I don't think he was a cop's cop. I had a lot of bad things heard about him when coming up, and the stuff wasn't positive. And
He wasn't a cop's cop. He's not a mayor's mayor.
No.
He's not a New Yorker's New Yorker. We'll be back with more of That's What I'm Talking About with another hot issue of the week.
The Queens Village Republican Club is America's oldest Republican club, founded in 1875. Situated in President Trump's hometown in Queens, New York, we are America First MAGA Republicans, empowering fellow Republicans to get involved in the game of politics at the grassroots level. We host inspiring monthly club meetings on the first Thursday of each month at 8 p.m. For more information, please go to our website at www.qvgop.org.
Shine shoes there, and he's like, "Not my stuff. Go use your guys' stuff."
Corporate transfer, fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
But Eric Adams, he's on video talking about how he used to treat these crackers.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
So, he's no stranger to me.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler, Donald Trump's language, mirrors this directly.
Well, Hitler was duly elected.
Let's deal with Hitler, okay?
I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that is Mussolini Hitler-like language.
You say Nazi enough times, someone's going to actually have the guts to do it.
Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler.
What percentage of this event happening was due to Donald Trump's rhetoric?
Don't miss Trump next time. What do you make of the excess deaths?
None of us, not the president, not those hypothetical guys in the smoky rooms, fully know what's going on, but we can speak about the unfolding of recent history with certainty.
Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy.
That is not how it works. That is a threat to democracy.
No. No.
You anti-Semitic piece of...
When you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit.
Free fries when you get vaccinated? Mmm. Vaccination.
live from the America First warehouse. We started talking about the Department of Education. We ended up with Eric Adams. I tell you what, Eric Adams, I saw a video calling white people crackers.
I saw that too.
I'm Italian. I'm a biscotti. I'm a biscotti. I'm not a cracker. You are what nationality?
White trash.
What biscuit? Are you a biscuit?
Irish, Scottish, English.
You're a scone.
French Canadian.
Oh, I don't even know why you're on this show. Once he said French Canadian, and you are Spanish. You're like a chorizo.
My mother was from Ponce, Puerto Rico, and my
Nice.
father's from Havana, Cuba.
Wow.
So I got a nice mixture in there.
That is,
so
what would you be?
my
You would be an
father's-
empanada or something.
I'd be an empanada, like empanadas, but I gotta eat a few less empanadas.
Now, Phil, you have an organization that you're trying to start up, and I don't know if you started it already, but it's conservative performers. Performers?
Right.
In any aspect? Like, I know you have musicians and actors. Do you have comedians?
We have comedians. Basically, what we're trying to do is unify the comedians and the actors and the filmmakers in this country. They've been shut out of a lot of opportunities because Hollywood has their. You don't get something for nothing. So they're paying you some good money. They want something for it. If you paid attention when they were doing the latest Top Gun movie, one of the things that came up was China was funding the movie. So they had on the back of the bomber jacket that Tom Cruise was supposed to wear, there was a symbol there for Taiwan. And the people who were funding the movie, they were like, we want that out of there. Fortunately,
Wow.
Tom Cruise stepped up and he said, well, no, it's got to be on there. It's the original bomber jacket. And they fought with it. And I guess Tom Cruise was such an established actor, and it was so much important part of having him in this movie because he was in the original, that he was able to get through it. But most artists, I mean, all over the country are just competing with people with a lot of money. Even whether you're on the left or the right, they're out there. They want to express themselves, and they're up against like people who have been developed by this industry. And you're not getting in, probably.
Right, you're not. Yeah, I mean, me and Kevin are conservative comedians, and I know I've lost gigs because of it. I'm sure he has. And so is there like a registry, like if someone's throwing a party or has a function and they say, you know what, I want to give my business to a conservative comedian or a conservative guy who plays the piano or something, can they come to your site? What's your site?
Absolutely. They can write us an email at AmericanConservativeArtists.com. Artist is plural, so there's an S at the end of all that.
Right.
And they can write us, and if we can help them, we will. If not, we'll try to get in touch with somebody. We try to, it's not, I'm just a representative of this. There are artists all over the place that are like trying to do things with the arts, and they're trying to express themselves. Some of them are extremely talented, and they never get their voice heard.
He's not talking about us. He's talking about the other people.
The other guys. Yeah, the other guy. It's always the other guy. So, they have a chance to get themselves out there and do their thing.
I
And
think
then
that's a great thing
let the public,
that you're doing.
Let the public decide.
I think the time is now because, I've been to comedy shows where they just hire the guy who opens for me, and he's trans, anti-Trump, giving disgusting details about his life. And I'm like, well, this guy doesn't belong here. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying
You could always go.
other-
You could always go the trans route if you like.
You can.
But all joking aside, it's like, hey, give the guy a chance and let's see what he's got. We got to bring comedy back. We got to bring real music back. You talk to a lot of the musicians now, and they're like, I'm part of the resistance. What resistance? You're in with corporations.
Right.
You're in with big money
Right.
from China. You're in with all these other things. You are part of the establishment.
Me
Face
and
it,
Kevin
look
are
at
like
yourself.
the resistance when you think of it, because all of these clubs are. There's one club when I went in, the guy who ran the club had a wig, makeup, a bag, and a beard. And he's like, let me tell you what you can and can't say. I'm like, oh, you got the wrong guy. In New York, the New York Comedy Club.
Really?
The guy was a manager. He was a trans, and he's telling me what's acceptable.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I accept you. All I ask you to do is accept me.
Well, people make the mistake, they hear liberal. Hey, I'm a liberal. I'm a liberal. You should look in the dictionary as to what the word liberal means, because the word liberal means that you're willing to listen to other people's point of view. You're willing to accept people that have a different viewpoint than you. People will say, oh, there's a bunch of liberals having riots over there in California. The liberals are standing with, let's say, Kamala. Those are not liberals. Those are totalitarians.
Those are
People
anarchists.
that want to force you to vaccinate yourself, whether you like it or not. People that are telling you can't enter a restaurant, you can't do this, you can't do that. Only I can do it because I'm part of a marginalized group which we created, the marginalized group, to say that it's only us that can do it. That is not a liberal. That's a totalitarian. You can look it up in the dictionary. We're for rights. We're for the Constitution. Not the Constitution the politicians try to shove on you where it's like, I believe in the Constitution, but it says we the people in order to form a more perfect union. You don't see them trying to unify people.
No.
It also says to establish justice. It says to ensure domestic tranquility. If you're insuring something, you're giving an insurance policy.
They're doing the complete opposite.
Yep.
Especially in LA.
All of that.
Do you see Karen Bass or Gavin Newsom right now trying to ensure domestic tranquility? No, they're trying to stir up people. They're trying to tell them, why aren't you out in the street fighting this tyranny? They're trying to equate what's going on with Nazi Germany.
Yes.
That's totalitarianism.
I don't like to talk about transgender issues and then saying they're trying to shove it down my throat.
After they cut it up.
That's where I draw the line. You've had to suffer from doing your gigs, right?
You want to hear my favorite? I didn't get the gig. So, allegedly.
I didn't get the gig.
Oh, I didn't get this one.
Okay.
But allegedly, I was accused, and I guess it's over now, of allegedly walking into the Capitol on January 6th through an open door. Allegedly. Now, someone emails me, hey, I got your name from so-and-so. They go, you know who Bob Decker is? Or is it John Decker? John Decker, the ABC guy who goes into the White House. I think it's John Decker.
Yeah.
They go, I can give you $2,500 to perform at his birthday party in D.C. And I went, I'll take it, but you should Google my name.
Do your research.
And FBI. And he calls me back 10 minutes later. He goes, thank you for being such a professional and warning me. I can't book you. I said, I get it. But how funny would that be?
That would have been classic. That should have been on a pay-per-view.
I kind of wanted to sneak in, but I knew that they would blow it up.
Yeah,
I would just be in the news for all the wrong reasons.
I have a lot of respect for that. You are like one of the few artists I've met that's actually shutting themselves out of Hollywood.
I cancel
and the arts.
myself.
I respect that.
Thank you.
I did a gig not too long ago in Florida, and it was it was a condo board, and all the condos started at $3 million. So these were all very affluent people, and the tickets were $100 a ticket, which I was like, who's coming to this? They go, oh, they just buy them just to be part of it, and they did it to raise money to do something to the pool or some shit like that. So I go there, and half the people weren't there. And the woman came up to me, and she says, they Googled you. And they saw that you are pro-Trump and pro-American. I was like, pro-American?
It's outrageous.
And so this is what they said. So there were two people who were there that before I went on, the guy turns around and he goes, how could you be telling jokes when Trump is trying to get rid of Canada? I was like, what? I go, dude, take it easy. You're a millionaire. You should be having fun. But this is what happens. You get labeled. That's why I want to be on that list. You got to put us on that list.
That's the list you'll be on.
I'm going to join the list. I lost another gig because I got Googled.
Oh, yeah.
The booker goes, he sends me an email, goes, hey, terrorist. I'll tell you who afterwards. It's hilarious.
Terrorist.
They Googled you. And it was like a fundraiser for a high school hockey team or something.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't hockey. It was a girl sport because I was like, hockey people should love me. I'm from Detroit.
Yeah.
And hockey people are typically pretty patriotic. Let me ask you guys this. I think the word conservative is hurting us. What do you think?
You could be right. You could be right. I think
there's a negative connotation where there's the word liberal.
It's a training process.
Yeah.
Train everybody with that label.
Yep.
It's bad. I had that happen to me very recently, like 2 weeks ago. I heard a great band. I was like, I could definitely work with these guys. They were phenomenal. Guitar player, bass player, drummer. The guitar player was playing, if you're familiar with Chuck Mangione back in the day,
Yes.
his Feel So Good days, he sounded like the guy who was playing. I'm forgetting his name right now, and I was like, this guy is phenomenal. So afterwards, I said, I have to talk to these people. I know all the tide was against me, so I said, I'll try to tread lightly and be polite. That devolved into a political conversation because I had to
lie.
The word
You had to
conservative.
lie.
yeah, and I couldn't because it was in the title of American Conservative Artist.
Right.
It's very hard to do. And I saw one person listening on the side who had just sang a song. He actually had sang Everybody Wants to Rule the World for like 45 minutes. He kept changing it.
Yeah.
He was playing with the band and whatever. And I talked to these phenomenal musicians, and the guy says, conservative has a very negative thing associated.
It does now.
And I said, what is conservative? If you wear a suit, you're a conservative.
Mm-hmm.
You're fine. You're fashionably conservative. If you save money or you go shopping for the best price, you're fiscally conservative. So
Right.
what does it mean? What does it mean to you? To me, and in American conservative artists, all it means is conserving the rights and privileges outlined in the Constitution.
And we're
That's
really
it.
we're
That's all it
really
means.
liberal.
I like that. That's great.
We're really liberal because we will live and let live. We'll be back right after these advertisements.
Corrupt judges, broken families, families torn apart. This is injustice. If you've been wronged by the system, join us. Don't stand alone. Hi, I'm Gary Jacobs, president of Americans for Legal Reform. We're the oldest legal reform group in the United States. The justice system in the United States should be transparent, fair, and open to everybody and accessible. Unfortunately, many times that's not the case. At Americans for Legal Reform, we are here to help. Join the movement. Visit AmericansForLegalReform.com and help reform the system before it fails you.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
Welcome, everybody, to the Not So Newlywed Show, where 3 couples are going to compete for really great prizes. Okay, Donna, we asked Mike, who complained first on your honeymoon, you or him?
What do I think?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think he said.
Lisa, this ain't the SATs. Just tell us what. Donna, who complained first on the honeymoon?
I'm sure it was me, but I have no idea.
Donna is right.
No, it's always me.
What celebrity would you pick for a one-day pass?
For me?
Yeah, for you, not for him.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon! Wow! Who do you hate the most on her side? That rotten no.
There's so many choices.
Thank you all, and thank you for coming out.
Hi, my name is Elena Ruseva, aka Megalangela. Please check my art at www.megalangela.vip.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
Freddie Rubino here with That's What I'm Talking About, live from the America First warehouse in Ronkonkoma, Long Island, the most patriotic venue in the land. I'm here with my two guests, Kevin Downey Jr. and Phil Kuza, and we have the last story for the week, and it says that transgender troops are facing a deadline and a difficult decision. This is the headline. A difficult decision as transgender service members face a deadline to either leave the U.S. military or stay. Hundreds are taking the financial bonus to depart voluntarily, but some say they're going to stay and fight. This is what I have to say. This is a difficult decision. You cut your penis off and said, hey, yeah, you know what? I'm going to cut my penis off, or I'm going to cut my tits off, and I'm going to say I'm going to grow a beard. That was easy. But to leave the military, oh, what a difficult decision. I don't know if I could do it. Do these people know what the word difficult means? I don't think so.
You know what I'll tell you what I know, and I'll tell you what I believe. I know that there are 45 goals of communism to conquer the U.S. without firing a shot, as entered into the Congress in 1963. I know a lot of them mean nothing. They're outdated. 18 and onward, those are the ones you want to read, because one of them is all about promoting degeneracy. And, there's one I always disagreed with. It said, we want to make gay marriage legal. And I always thought, yeah, I'm fine with that. And I didn't see how that could in any way, shape, or form be bad. But what that led to was, because remember, after gay people got the right to marry, I expected...
Why did you point at me when you said that?
You know why. I expected they would take like a victory lap.
Right.
There was none of that. It immediately went to, now where are these guys in dresses going to urinate? Yeah, that's what we're mad about now. And I was like, hold on. This is a whole new thing. And then they started allowing them in the military, and I was like, well, is that bad or good? And I realized it's bad I thought it was bad because they just wanted free operations.
Right. There was an underlying theme.
And then I thought it was bad because the suicide attempt rate in the transgender crowd is like 42%. So why would you give these people guns and hand grenades?
And you know what? They blamed us for the suicide rate. Oh, it's because you make fun of them.
Yeah.
What? I've been made fun of.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not a jumper. I'm a pusher. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what? No one's killing themselves because a guy in a MAGA hat wouldn't use their pronouns. That's not what's going on.
Right.
And the suicide attempt rate, it jumps 12.12 times once someone has had either a surgery or the medical...
you know what I mean? Chemicals.
Yeah, that's when it really kicks in. But the real threat of a transgender military is they are taught to hate, and I mean hate, anyone who is not on their side. That's everyone in a MAGA hat. Now, during Tiananmen Square, we were all watching to see what they would do, and everyone in the U.S. said, well, our military would never fire on American people. Well, when they've got purple hair and a face full of piercings, it looks like they fell face first into a tackle box, and they've been taught you're the bad guy, you're the threat, and you're the one who wants to genocide them. They are going to open fire on us. So
yes. It went from accepting us to, hey, accept us, to, okay, we accept you, to, hey, not only accept us, but teach your children that we are just like you. And we're like, oh, no. Then it came to, we got to kill you. Yeah. We got to get rid of you. And it's a deranged, but when you touched on the suicide rate, that's not all. It's like 50 times the alcoholism rate, 20 times the drug addiction rate, 30 times domestic abuse rate.
Yep.
So all of the bad things. Now, I don't know if you ever looked into adopting a child. If you adopt a child, you and your wife go, they put you through the ringer. They ask everything. Have you ever had this? Have you ever been on prescription drugs? Everything. But if you show up as a transgender couple, knowing alcoholism, domestic abuse, Venereal disease is like 50 times. I'm not pointing at you. I'm just saying that is all off the charts. It's not like double or triple. It's 10 times that. They hand over a kid to them. They just hand them over. And it's despicable. Now, I don't know why this is so difficult for the transgender community to leave the military. You're not wanted there. You probably are not doing well there. Just leave. A cash buyout. Do you know what difficult means? When my teachers used to say to my parents, your son's being difficult. That wasn't, we're going to give him a cash buyout to get out of history class. That's not what it was. It was you were difficult. So I can't even understand. It's right now, it's hard to be in the military. I have never been. I was in the Salvation Army a couple of years. We lost a lot of good guys during the Boone's Farm epidemic.
Well, one thing I have to say is the gay community, there was a time
this is transgender. This is past gay. Now gays are like great.
Well, there was a time if many of the young people would like take a moment to like read your real history or know your real history.
Right.
In the gay community, there was a time when gay people were facing actual violence. They were being assaulted on the street. And this was a real thing. This was not like
100%.
Like, oh, somebody, looked at me the wrong way or didn't like my necklace or gave me misgendered me or called me by a wrong pronoun. These people were being assaulted. This was during the time of Stonewall. Now we've gotten to a time period when a lot of the people in the LGBTQ and trans communities are actual activists perpetrating violence, doing the same things that they were victimized of before.
They'll go back 45, 50 years to show when America was not doing the right thing. Or they'll go back, but they'll never go back 50, 100 years to see when America was doing great or that the Constitution had to be the thing that we yes, thank you. I have a very bad tongue twist right now. I think it's my COVID shot, my 8th booster shot. My 8th booster shot. I have a foot coming out of my neck.
I think you need another one now.
No, I never got it.
That'll straighten it up.
I'm so happy I never got it. Listen, when they blow reveille and you're a guy and you just got to get your pants on, get dressed, make your bed in 4 minutes before the sergeant comes in, what do you have to do if you're transgender? How long does that take?
Got to tape and tuck, Sarge.
Makeup
Sorry.
first.
Johnson, tuck in your penis. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, yes, sir.
I tell you what, no one makes a bed better. I bet you the beds would be better.
I think they should redo Full Metal Jacket with this new modern
Full
way
Metal
of
tuck in.
Johnson, why is your penis not tucked in tight?
Yes. And
where's
now,
your tape?
Now, if you are well endowed, that's got to be a tougher job.
Sir, I'm going to need stronger tape, sir.
That's got to be a harder job to tuck if you're a black
Don't
American.
say harder.
If you're an African American. So I think is that why they got them cut off? I don't know. I don't mean to stare at you.
In all fairness, if you're joining the military, you're joining the military to become a war fighter. That's the reason you're joining the military. That is the purpose of the military, to defend this country. If you're joining to get an operation, I understand it. I understand the economics involved with it, but you're joining for the wrong reason.
You have to assimilate.
There's got to be another way.
In the military, that's why you wear the same uniform. You're supposed to assimilate. You have no identity. You're not the Italian guy. You're not the Irish guy. You're not the black guy. You're not anything. You're just the Army. And when you, for any reason, I'm not even talking about gay or transgender, for any reason you want to stand out, no pun intended, in the military or be not the typical, then you're doing it wrong. You have to be part of the military. You have to be part of the Marine Corps, and it's the same uniform, no distinction.
You know, I think a lot of today's youth are raised quite the opposite. What are your pronouns? What do you identify as? Well, so there's something that this woman's like, I'm a mask, whatever. And I was like, mask? I got to look that up. Short for masculine. I'm a woman who's masculine, so I'm a mask, hetero, they, them. Everyone has something to stand out by, but it's not their actions. It's their choices. I'm a such and such and such and such, so that makes me special. It really doesn't.
It really doesn't. And you know what? That's what I loved about going to Catholic school. Because every day, the priest, the brother, or the nun would come in and tell you, you are not special.
Yep.
There is nothing special about you. You're a filthy sinner.
Yep.
You are a disgrace to this school.
Disgraziata.
You're a disgraziata, and that's who you are. And you didn't go out saying, I'm special. You better go out and make something special.
Yep.
You did not come in here. Last minute of the show, where could we find you and see all your great content, Kevin?
Well, thank you. You can go to pjmedia.com. I'm a writer there. You can listen to my anti-communist, pro-America radio show, the Kevin Downey Jr. Show, every Monday through Friday.
And I love you on Fridays here.
Thank you. Yeah, Fridays I'll be here every Friday with Live from Studio 6B.
And what is your website for the conservative performers?
www.americanconservativeartists.com.
And if you remember anything, remember fredrubino.com. And come to one of my shows. We're going to plan a show right here. Remember one thing about the America First Warehouse. If you're in Queens, if you're in Jersey, if you're in Manhattan, all trains lead to the Long Island Railroad, and the Long Island Railroad leaves you right here. This is Freddie Rubino here with That's What I'm Talking About. We will see you next week right here on this station.
Thank you, buddy. That was